Hello, this is the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token Podcast, episode 18. My name is Chris. Sitting opposite me, I've got East Lothian's most deceptively hairy man 2013, Euan Glasgow.
Don't know what I'm deceiving people about with it.
Well, you're just a very deceptive man.
I'm actually more hairy than I look.
And we also have the award-winning Pawel Daruk, who picked up the award for most... earworthy voice, is that what they call it in Poland? Earworthy?
As far as her is concerned, I have less than Euan.
Right.
The voice should be alright. Enjoy.
Right.
The old gift from God. Back to grace us with his presence again.
Yes, he is. He has returned from the fatherland. How was your trip to the fatherland, Pawel?
It was pleasant, surprisingly.
Oh, excellent.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Right. From what I heard, Pawel, you spent most of the time playing the PS4 that your dad owns.
Well, yes. So long as you're in Poland, just make sure you stay indoors. You're safe then.
Okay. We'll not go any further on that then. So episode 18. 18 episodes, lads. Yeah. 18 episodes.
There's been a lot of...
That's
nearly
a long road.
There's
50
been
episodes.
Many changes. You're sitting over there. Me and Pawel are sitting here like a couple of peas in a pod.
Yeah, just you're snuggled up together.
Yeah. This is very exciting.
Sharing a microphone.
Aye. We feel quite professional, really. Like a couple of correspondents. Like twins.
Some
have been asked to speak about a subject.
Is this what they're going to do with the news these days?
Yeah.
They're just going to send two guys
just two
out
weird
and make
twins.
them stand as close to each other as possible.
We saw the accident.
Alright, I'm up for it.
Okay, well, shall we move on? Because I think we've got quite a lot to talk about in this episode.
We certainly have. I've written a lot here.
So, yes, this is a podcast about gaming. Gaming of all sorts. So that's video gaming, tabletop gaming, role-playing gaming. Is that what you call that? Role-playing gaming?
You could call it that, yes.
What do you call it?
You call it probably role-playing games.
Role-playing game, right. I thought you were going to say, I call it awesome, because that's usually your response. But...
Actually, that's not a bad thing. I'll remember it for the next time.
You've been in the fatherland too long speaking Polish, I think.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I just locked myself indoors. Play games in English, so...
True, right, okay, so we're going to start with some video games. Who wants to go first? Pawel? I think you've been absent for quite a while, so
yes,
we'll get you to speak up.
Dark Souls 3 is what I've been playing lately,
and I'm glad that one of us has been playing it because
me and you haven't. I was really happy when I realised Pawel's here. He's played Dark Souls 3. Somebody's played something up.
We have representation in Land of Lothric or whatever it's called. Yeah. That's good because
the gamers.
Obviously, nowadays we just feel a certain sort of obligation to represent the podcast and all the major games getting released. So I took the bullet.
You did. You spent that money.
Oh, well, to be fair, it's a brilliant game, so I would have got it anyway.
We're not quite at that stage yet in that podcast where like companies are giving us stuff to play. It will come. It'll come. Eventually. That's the only reason I'm doing it. But.
I saw a post the other day with you saying there is a sale somewhere. Was it? Yes, it was Don't Starve Together.
Yeah,
there was a sale.
It was
Steam.
The whole bundle of Don't Starve
yes,
games.
My first thought was you're getting a proper percentage out of that.
Oh yeah, well Chris has taken to using our social media presence to basically hawk games. To shill for companies.
Just be like, hey, game developers, look at what we're doing. We're advertising stuff. Come on.
Chris is basically standing on the front page of Facebook going, roll up.
Here is the advertisement for Dark Souls 3, and it's really depressing, and it's definitely created for masochists. And once you start playing it, you either just throw your controller on the floor and never go back to it, which I believe is what John King does.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And probably quite a number of other players. Just try and enjoy it for a bit, get beaten 10 times by whatever first boss, and just never try again. I'm sure that this is the way I've played Demon's Souls and the previous Dark Souls games, where I may have beaten one or two bosses and then just gave up because it was too much.
Wait, are you saying that you've never finished one of these games?
No, never.
Which ones have you played, out of interest?
All of them.
You've played all of them?
Yes.
Demon's Souls?
Yes.
All the Dark Souls?
Yes.
Bloodborne?
Yes.
And you haven't finished any of them?
Never.
He's spreading himself.
Even I've done that.
But I can tell you that throwing controller down or smashing it on the wall, amazing feeling.
Right.
After a trip to whatever dark realm you're exploring. Dark Souls 3, I'm doing reasonably well because I'm actually enjoying it more and more. So I think I found this masochistic spot in me where the mixture of terror that you feel whenever you're I'm playing these games very cautiously. It's shield up all the time, crawling speed. Every single enemy out there, I'm ready to run away or roll around. To be fair, I've killed myself more than once by just rolling around into some sort of cliff, yes, because I was just scared of some sort of bird flying around.
I've seen you do that in real life.
It sounds the way to play Dark Souls.
But the thing is, see, apart from Bloodborne, which doesn't give you the option, I always play Demon's Souls and Dark Souls with the Deprived class, which you start always with a plank shield and a club,
right,
and no armor at all.
Is that a challenge class?
It's sort of. It gives you.
But it's not like the barbarian or anything.
No. This is just
you
like
can wear armor at some point.
Once you find it to buy it, your skills or attributes are always the same level, so that you can start your progression in whatever direction you choose, whether you want to go strength build, accuracy, or whatever it's called, dexterity, or some sort of major priest character, anything like this. And I like to have my sort of choice, the freedom of choice as I go through the game to see what I end up with. I always end up with some whoever that can hold their shield as high as possible and stay away from everything.
Yeah.
I spent hours in this game making sure that I'm still safe in whatever empty room.
Have you actually got out of the first part yet?
Yeah.
You're just walking about.
No.
With
In
your
Dark
shield
Souls
up,
3,
terrified.
I've actually managed to progress. I think one of the aspects of Dark Souls 3 that I'm enjoying is the fact that when you hollow out, you're not actually a zombie running around, which was a part of. I mean, in Dark Souls 1 and 2, and probably in Demon's Souls. No, in Demon's Souls you weren't a zombie, but you had a glow of some sort on you.
It's an aura, yeah.
I think Dark Souls 3 is the first game in the franchise where even when you die, lose your souls and stuff like that, you're still retaining your actual body. Although later on in the game, you can actually hollow out if you choose so. Which I'm not gonna because you need a certain NPC to do it, and I have a problem with NPCs in Dark Souls games. I see anything in this game, I kill it. So
I did that in Demon's Souls.
I just walk around. Somebody just starts talking. I start slashing, and he's gone. And then I go to whatever Google, search for walkthrough, and I realize this is one of the most important merchants in the game.
It is no wonder that you've destroyed controllers over this game. You're just killing everybody that's in it and realising that you can't finish the game anymore.
I should also mention that in preparation for this episode, I've been playing a lot of Demon's Souls.
Yes.
And I have also beaten up two merchants just for no reason at all.
They start talking, that's enough.
Yeah. They were surprisingly tolerant of it. They kind of just looked at me and were like, he's a noob.
It's just
I saw him thinking, noob.
The character design and aesthetics of this game makes you just afraid of anything, or just pretty much assuming that everybody is either an enemy or some sort of invading phantom, or if not, they're planning to ambush you anyway.
Aye.
So I keep swinging.
But it's classic Soul stuff.
Yeah.
I've not played any of the Dark Souls games, admittedly. I've played Demon's Souls. I played quite a bit of Demon's Souls. I never finished it, but I played Bloodborne, and I finished that. Now, I think the thing that put me off all the Dark Souls games was this whole, you can just armour yourself up, stick up your shield and walk about really slowly if you want. Bloodborne was much more my type of thing, with all the dodging, and there's no real the armour in it's just
aggressive.
It's not
just aesthetics.
Yeah, it's just aesthetics, and you get some bonus.
But I tell you, in Dark Souls, no matter what sort of shield you have and how good it is, it's just going to work for you for the lowest of grunts, and as soon as you get whatever mini boss or stronger enemies hitting at you, you're going to regret just relying on your shield, so you have to roll around, which is what I do when there's cliffs around.
So can you create a build that does that kind of thing? Is there a sort of character build you can make which is just
there's
agility based?
There's classes you choose at the beginning. I always just go for the private, and then I see how things go.
You see how far you can get.
Yeah. Beating the first boss in nothing but a loincloth is always a good test whether I'm going to actually survive the rest of the game or not.
Well, see, playing Demon Souls, I have been interested, because I've generally just stuck with the old sword and shield in that game as well, but it's quite satisfying in that, and you can't really just go around with your shield up all the time. You're, especially fighting.
Trust me, you can.
See, this may be why you're having some trouble. Because, I played a bit more of it a while back, and I've sort of gone back into it recently, and I kind of basically forgotten how to fight in these games, and kind of getting back into it, and the simplicity of the setup in the combat. You've got your sword, you've got your hands basically represented in your inventory, and you're setting up, which one you're having your sword or shield in.
Yeah.
The amount of depth in the combat from just quite a simple setup is astounding.
Well, I think this is why it has been such a successful franchise, because the combat mechanic is really well crafted.
It doesn't hold your hand with it. There's no working out combos and things like that. It's about how you deal with the movements and the attacks of your whatever enemy you're fighting, and they can all be very different.
With just one resource, which is stamina, used for everything, and being pretty much a difference between life and death. It can actually be very, very tactical the way you play. I always just invest as much whatever souls as I have into stamina to make sure I can roll around as much as needed, and maybe even slash from time to time.
I'm like Chris. I'm not that familiar with the Dark Souls games. What is the hollowing out? What is the difference to Demon Souls with how it works?
And it's pretty much what you have in Demon Souls. If you get killed, you drop all the souls you have. If you get killed before you retrieve it, and that's sort of depending on which game you're playing, you lose more. You might get a hollowing level, or you might lose. I can't remember. I think in Dark Souls 2 you would have lost a certain item type.
Oh, right.
And depending on whether you've lost those particular items, they weren't souls, but they were other things that you kept collecting as you went through the game. You couldn't be invaded by phantoms if you were hollowed out, but also your hit points would be much, as in you would have less of them and stuff like that. Every game will have different mechanic when it comes to that, but all I could see was pretty much your aesthetics getting changed. You would look like a thin zombie type figure in Dark Souls 2, and in Demon Souls, I think if you're hollowed out, you're glowing and you're possibly a little bit translucent. I'm not sure.
That's right. You had the sort of aura thing around you,
and I don't think they have anything like that in Bloodborne.
I don't think so, no. I think in Bloodborne you're just generally dead.
Yeah. Well, you're undead in all these games. They're aiming to be as desperate and morbid and just as possible, which is brilliant, really. It's just I can't play Bloodborne. There's no shields there, and I'm
man, you have to get used to using that gun. That gun is your shield.
It's called lack of courage. I need a shield in order to face stuff like that.
So it's a character flaw then.
It's my character flaw, yeah. My character is ready for it. It's just the player is not.
Your character's not ready for this. I think the whole point of these games is that the characters are just not ready for this nonsense.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah. So okay, Dark Souls 3, massive success. Everybody's loving it. It's the third game in the franchise, and it's potentially, if not the best of them all, it's definitely a very worthy successor to the earlier ones. They've not changed the whole recipe for what this game should be. They've kept it. They've just kept the game true to the original design, and this is probably a good idea because that's what people are loving. What people tend to love in Dark Souls is the fact that it doesn't hold you by the hand. It throws you into this very dangerous and very scary world, and you have to figure out what to do in it. And people that don't use whatever online walkthroughs and play Bloodborne will probably, for the first couple of hours, won't even be aware how to upgrade their character, simply because the NPC you use to do that is just not there. Whoever plays Demon's Souls or the first Dark Souls, I think she's called the Dark
Maiden in Black.
Maiden in Black,
Demon's
yes. So
Souls.
you get to meet her fairly early, so at least you can start spending your souls to upgrade your character.
Yeah.
But in Bloodborne, I remember there was...
That's
There
a
was
long
a
time
bit of
before
delay.
you-
Yeah, it
before
took
you could
about-
do
Is,
it.
is that
Yeah,
kind of a
first
feature of
part-
all the games?
I think all the Souls games do something like that.
Like where you basically have to play through a big section
Yeah.
before.
In Dark Souls 3, you actually have to defeat your first boss before you can even
I think
start.
that's
Demon's
true in
Souls
Demon's
is the
Souls as
same,
well.
but I mean, the Demon's Souls to start, that's not that difficult, really.
Well, some of these
It
games
takes
just
a bit to
tend
get
kill
adjustment
you
the first
at the
time you
beginning.
play it, but you generally find you get through that not too bad.
On the other hand, in Bloodborne, the first bit was just absolutely solid.
I have played through that. That's the only bit I've sort
I
of
think in
played through
Bloodborne,
it.
it's just supposed to kill you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, kill you over and over and over
Yeah.
and over again.
Yeah.
But it does teach you some harsh lessons.
See, I think it's difficult to talk about Dark Souls 3 without talking about the whole franchise, because this game...
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's the franchise is so... All these games are so similar to each other and so well done.
Yeah.
Then you just end up talking about the whole model of the
Yeah.
game as such, what
Well,
it
that is
represents. and
Would
how
you
it
say that
starts
there's
from.
any big differences between the three Dark Souls games, or are they all pretty similar?
You know what? I think as the time goes by and Dark Souls franchise just grows in strength in the number of followers, people that are just familiar with the concept, maybe there is more information available in the game, or maybe that's simply because now everybody is hyping up about it, and there's lots of knowledge available online. Back in the times of Demon's Souls, you would start playing it, you'd have no idea what you're doing, and you'd have no idea to actually check how to do stuff. There would be so many mysteries and so many secrets. There's still mysteries and secrets. These games are simply not telling you how to do things. NPCs show up and go away. You face challenges, you have no idea how you've triggered. You miss opportunities without even knowing that they were there. Because some sort of merchant starts talking to you. Why would you not kill him?
Did you just say that this game triggers you?
Yes, it's a trip.
This isn't that kind of podcast.
Watching someone play Dark Souls triggers me.
Apparently,
One of my triggers.
apparently
A lot of people.
for a third party, watching someone play Dark Souls is always a very unique
stressful.
experience, because all you see players do is obviously shaking in whatever chair they have, and rolling about everything. They see any
Sweating,
obstacle on
screaming.
screen, they roll into it.
Every so often just crying like a baby in the middle of the room.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be a really confusing experience for someone that didn't know what was going on.
I don't know. See, the thing is, in other games, you get killed, you get frustrated or disappointed or angry at yourself. In Dark Souls, you get killed, and it's such a familiar feeling. You're just like,
It's just part of the game. Isn't it?
stress is
Part of
over.
life.
That's cool. That's good. I'm back to a safe area. I've lost my progress bar. It doesn't matter.
Is
Okay.
this,
Sorry.
just I'd read something about it. Is this not meant to be the last Dark Souls game?
It's meant to be but the franchise is so
kind of
popular.
just-
I think they're saying this because there's been rumors around, absolutely unconfirmed, so I shouldn't be even saying that, but maybe they'll try something
think-
science fiction like
you got
in the
some
future.
inside
I have
information?
inside sources. They're called Google.
Whoa!
Yes,
These guys sound pretty
grain
good.
of salt. No, I just I think the people that make these particular games have been just in favor of trying a different setting maybe in the future. That's how Bloodborne came to be, and I'm quite excited about the idea of this particular model getting ported into a science fiction setting.
Yeah. I suppose they'd have their eye on a Bloodborne sequel. at some point, possibly.
Yeah, I would be
I'm
surprised.
hoping so. I'm hoping so.
That game was widely popular as well.
Yeah, it was definitely one that held my attention. I must have done because I completed it, and I don't complete games. So
The
list is
one
endless.
aspect I have no idea whether it's good or bad or better in Dark Souls 3 is multiplayer. As soon as I can, I turn these games offline. I have enough stress battling NPCs. I cannot be bothered by the PvP
I do
factor.
remember in Bloodborne that was a bit weird. That there were certain points in Bloodborne where it deliberately made you fight another person that was online, and you couldn't get past it until you killed them, basically, or until you were killed. And it was stressful.
I think there's a bit like that in Demon Souls.
There's a bell ringing woman, I believe, that brings these people into your world. Anyway. So that's Dark Souls 3. What are you playing it on, Pawel?
PS4.
PS4. Because it's on Windows, PS4 and Xbox One. I think it's available on Steam, isn't it?
They always are, yes.
on Steam. There haven't been as many issues with this Dark Souls 3 as there has been with the other Dark Souls games in terms of the PC port.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I can't remember if it was the first or the second Dark Souls, possibly the first one, where they basically just ported it as an Xbox game onto the consoles, and it did not work.
I'm pretty sure that Dark Souls 2 ported fine because I played it on PC and I didn't have any issues.
Well, I think this is the first time that there's been pretty much no issues with the PC version, because playing it in the PC had always been a bit dodgy in the past.
I tell you what, nowadays every single game gets released. There's so many bugs, you just keep hearing about them. The Division had a successful launch, and then things just broke, and they remain broken, thank you very much. With patches just introducing more and more bugs, which is just stunning. You play whatever AAA titles like Assassin's Creed, and you pretty much come to expect that things will fail. You start playing Skyrim or Fallout, and you're going to have mammoths pretty much fall off the sky no matter what.
Yeah, but that's the reason you play those games, though. I mean, those games would not be as interesting if they worked. I mean, have you seen the video that I put up?
Yes.
Right, yeah. You can look for this on our YouTube channel, by the way. This is the Poltergeist shopping trolley that I've
First thought I saw this clip on YouTube about the guy just gluing a buttered toast to a cat and checking what's going to fall.
Oh yeah, and he creates a...
Yeah, and then he creates an actual perpetual
motion machine.
Yeah. So that was my thought.
That's basically what I've made in Fallout 4. I managed to jam a sort of dummy thing. Would you call a mannequin? A mannequin inside a shopping trolley in Fallout 4.
Right.
And it just started spinning uncontrollably. It was amazing. But I put the video up on our YouTube channel, so...
I kept thinking, what caused it to do it? Because you're going to have some items in video games which are supposed to fall this way or another.
Basically what happened was, there was a man sleeping on a mattress on the floor, which was next to a wall, and I just started putting loads of stuff on top of him, just because I was bored. And then I woke him up.
And just because this is how Chris plays his games.
Yeah, this is how I play games. And while he was waking up, because of the movements he was making, he managed to jam everything against the wall. Alright, to the point where it all just went inside each other. And then when that happened, that shopping trolley and mannequin just became one object and started spinning uncontrollably, and it was amazing.
Sounds terrifying.
This is the standard. This is the sort of fulfillment Chris seeks in video games.
And I'm assuming you still haven't completed Fallout 4.
Oh, no. I just like
I suppose you've completed it by your own standards.
Yeah, I've completed it by my own standards, because I'm finding bugs everywhere I go.
With this.
So I'm happy with that. But I'm just going for the slow. Every few weeks I turn it on and do a few hours and then turn it off again.
I don't think Fallout 4 can be completed. That's one of those games that have just quest generators, so you can play it forever. There's no actual level count.
I've done out the main story. I haven't finished the main story.
Alright.
So,
and apart from that, you just have repetitive quests that can go on forever, and your level can just
villages and stuff.
Yeah.
Also sounds terrifying.
That's a discussion for another time. So let's
we quite like Fallout 4, yeah.
Yeah, we do. So let's move on a bit then, because that was Dark Souls 3, which Pawel says is excellent. But it came out on April 12th, so that was only last week. Before, so it's not been out very long. Let's move on. Euan, you have been playing Rogue Legacy again.
I have, yeah.
Tell us about
that one out again. It's just a fun little 2D sort of platformer
Roguelike,
yes. You can probably explain the concept of a roguelike better than
I think I've already done it several times on this podcast.
You probably have, yeah.
Basically, it's randomly generated.
We should set up an appendix.
Yeah.
I think we should assume that our listeners know such terms.
Aye. Well, I don't know.
If they know, we encourage you to just post your comments or questions on the either Facebook or wherever.
If you can
that would be fine. As long as you weren't telling people to Google stuff. I find that horrendous.
If you can give people a link to the mystical Google thing that you use, then that would be handy.
We can do that as well. Yes. But
just
later.
like, as a point of order, when somebody asks a question on the internet and to reply, Google it, is to just mark yourself out as some kind of subhuman. Like, somebody's reached out for human contact to find an answer to something, and you go consult the machine.
I never thought of that way. That makes sense.
It's awful behaviour. So Rogue Legacy,
yes.
I've been playing away at. So it's a roguelike. You basically go into this castle that's full of monsters. There's 4 different areas with varying difficulty and terrain and whatnot. And it's randomly generated as well. You go in, you fight as much as you can, then you die. And that's the end of that guy. And then you come back as... This is sort of interesting system in this where you have your descendants. So you'll usually get to choose between 3.
Yeah.
And there's different classes they can be. They have different sort of weird little.
They basically have different
things.
Stats.
Yeah.
Depending on the classes. So like the barbarian, I think, hits hard.
Aye.
Or not? Does the barbarian hit hard?
The barbarian's got a lot of health and does reasonable amount of damage, and you've got the ninja that doesn't have a lot of health, doesn't do crits, but does very high damage.
Yeah.
I think is it the knight or something that does lots of crits or something,
something like that. Yeah.
And you've got like wizard or mage or whatever can do.
Yeah.
You have mana in this, which is used for each character you take has some special ability. It's not like they learn spells or anything. They'll be like, this one can create fireballs that comes out. Some of them just like randomly shoot knives or axes and things like that. So that uses up mana. And there's like certain personalities like OCD.
Yeah.
If you break stuff, you regain mana because you're cleaning house or whatever.
Yeah. That's actually one of the funniest parts of this game.
Aye. Oh yeah, you
get some interesting and some annoying ones, including one that there's one that's colour blindness.
Oh yeah,
which basically makes the game black and white.
Yeah.
And you get one. There's a weird one, is it not? You try and play the game upside down or something like that.
Aye, there's
It's basically like it has no actual. Most of them have no actual help to the game itself.
Yeah. Well, one of them's like you can't see in 3D, so when you turn round, you don't like the camera.
You don't animate.
Animation is different. You just see a line. It's like a lot of fun. You just sort of keep trying these different combinations of weird things. Like you get gigantism sometimes, where there's you have really tall characters that can't get through certain bits, so you might have that character and you just can't go into that castle or like a particular room or something, or like super small ones that can get into places.
Dwarfism,
yeah. And that kind of comes into play where you get certain rooms will have like it calls it fairy chests in the game, where you have to there's be a certain objective, and some of them you can only do with certain classes or weird traits.
Yeah.
That
definitely
you just might not have.
The dwarfism one's one that you really need to get some of these things.
Yeah.
But it's all randomly generated anyway. Every time you make a new character, the castle regenerates. So
very rarely get hold of one of those fairy chests, just because you often just don't meet the requirements. But yeah, it's just like a lot of fun. That game. You just keep coming back to it. You'll play it through and keep dying. Every time you die, you might have whatever money you've collected, because you'll get money for smashing up objects, killing enemies and things like that, picking up chests. You can spend that in your you've got your family home that's shows all your sort of upgrades, so you can upgrade, get different classes, increase your health, so you've got better chances.
You can only do that when you die, though.
Oh yeah, sorry, when you've died. Yeah.
So once you've died, you can upgrade, and then you become a new character, and you pretty much have to spend all your money because you have to give this.
You have to give all your money to Sharon.
Sharon. Aye.
To Sharon.
It's like the god.
Sharon's going to let us into the castle.
Of course you will.
Yeah. So, there's also upgrades though that let you. I think you can pay Sharon less money.
Yes.
Sharon gets a wee bit cheaper.
Cheap Sharon.
Aye.
There's also an item you can pick up that lets you keep all your money for the next playthrough.
Oh yeah. You get these sort of blessings.
I just remembered that.
Yeah, that's that. I picked that one up. He's like, I see you've got Sharon's oval. You can get in for free, lad.
But the ultimate goal of this game, there are bosses. There are 4 bosses, I think.
There's 4 bosses,
story
yeah.
bosses, and then there's one main boss
yeah.
at the end. So it's a roguelike game which does have an ending. Although you can just keep playing after that, and I think there's a new game plus and stuff like that, isn't there?
Well, you can play through into the castle again, but there's like these bosses.
There's optional bosses as well.
Optional bosses, versions of the original boss, which are pretty much impossible because you have set characters for those, and they have set things.
They're basically challenge bosses,
yeah.
and they are nails because you can't take the character that you're using into that. It's a set character for each boss, and it's generally.
I've tried a
few
few of them like over and over again. It's just like, and you kind of go, okay, there's a tactic you need to use here because they've given you a specific class or they've given you a type of, because they're actually different character models for those ones. It's like they look kind of odd, all like different colours and everything. Isn't it? It's like weird neon mode.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, those I don't think I've beaten any of those. But it's a quality wee PlayStation Network. You got that for free, I think, at the time.
I think I did, but I originally had it on Windows. It first came out on Windows.
Aye.
I got it. You can pick it up on Steam.
Alright.
And I think it was one of the one of my first sort of Steam games that I picked up, I think, because I didn't actually start using Steam until just a few years ago.
Then you used it big time.
And then I used it big time, But it was one of the first ones I picked up, and it was brilliant. I did play through the whole thing. It's excellent. It's addictive as hell, and it's really cartoony and stuff like that. It's not like it's taking itself seriously. It's not grim dark. It's nothing like that. It's pretty light-hearted. And in fact, I've just remembered another one of the character traits, which is the one where you're afraid of chickens. And sometimes when you smash pots, a chicken comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just weird, I've just remembered that. But that's the kind of thing you expect in Rogue Legacy. It's just a bit silly, but it's also a really bloody good game, and it's quite challenging as well. You do have to just slog away at it and get your money together. You're going to die. You're going to have to go back to your family home. You're going to upgrade your characters. You can unlock new classes. The ninja becomes a Hokage. There's some wee references to that's a Naruto reference. And there's some other things like the Barbarian class, which basically is the guy at Skyrim. What's it called? They call him again?
Dragonborn.
The Dragonborn, yeah. Basically becomes
he does the shout thing.
And he does the Fusro dash out and stuff like that. It's just that there's wee nods, and the game doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's still really, really quite good.
I remember having just starting from scratch again. It does take quite a while to kind of get up, because I'm just like barely clearing the first couple of rooms and then dying, but just having like just enough to get a little upgrade. But I seem to remember it kind of like the difficulty curve very quickly. It just becomes quite easy once you get to a certain point, and you're quite able to just boost around the whole place. Like most of the bosses, by the time you actually come to fight them, you end up them pretty quickly.
You end up, because you find a boss, you go in and try and fight him, you get killed, and you go, right, okay, I'm going to go away and grind for a while, and then come back and go for this, and you come back and you're just like, oh, he's dead now. But you spent hours grinding away and
that's true. You don't realise how much you end up playing this game.
But the levels are really nice, but they're really well. So even though it's randomly generated, it's kind of like set rooms. Almost.
There's certain
things that will be in these types of rooms and stuff like that. And I think, but they're really nicely designed as well. And they're pretty challenging, some of them. But yeah, it's good. It's a game that I absolutely loved.
I was enjoying barring through it again. It's
Pawel, you're being quiet. I'm assuming you've never played this.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I've seen mentions of it in various game interviews where things are pretty much just compared to roguelike Legacy.
Roguelike Legacy.
Thank you very much.
Legacy. Yeah.
God, pronouncing that. So, obviously it's a big game. It's made history a bit, at least, so I might just pick it up one day.
It's definitely worth it.
You will enjoy it.
I don't know what sort of price that is at the moment. I could probably find out if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves.
Alright, this is research time. So, Pawel, how are you enjoying Springsteening it over here with me?
I think we should sing a bit.
Alright, we'll continue singing.
Okay, it's $10.99.
Thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate that.
It is available on Microsoft Windows, Linux, OS X, PlayStation 3, 4 and Vita, and Xbox One. I don't own a Vita, but if I owned a Vita, I would definitely have this game, because this is definitely a Vita style game. Like, you could... This is the kind of thing you would lose yourself in a train, or like on a bus journey or something like that, and you could just turn it on for half an hour if you wanted to. It's definitely a really, really good game. Do you want to rate this game, Euan?
I can't even begin to. I would say it would be.
How many Sharons would you give it?
I would give it 7 Sharon's favours out of 10.
Sharon's favours.
Sharon's wee favours.
All right.
Mainly because of the weird feeling of I'm going to use a big word here, ennui that I got towards the end of it, where, like what we were talking about with the bosses. Something about that kind of, I felt like there could have been more there to hold your interest, because there's the bosses, by the time you get to that point, I found it quite easy to just batter through that, and it was. I think there's the new game plus thing, and then those optional bosses are horrendously hard. I wouldn't even contemplate them. But something else, in between would have been nice. That's probably my only complaint with the game. Apart from that, top drawer, top shelf.
That's some top shelf stuff.
Top shelf. Sharon and
top shelf.
Sharon and
right?
Readers' Wives.
Well, let's not go any further than that analogy. Right, that was Rogue Legacy. I should have said that's by Cellar Door Games. So, can we move on to what I've been doing? Because I've basically just been dabbling with games.
Yeah.
I've been dabbling. Like I've not really sat down and just played a game. Well, one I have for just a few hours sort of thing. But like maybe 3 or 4. But mostly I've just been pissing about, to be honest. First up, I played the Doom beta, which was free on the PlayStation Store for a brief period of a few days. I played it for about an hour or something like that. This is basically just like Quake 3 Arena. Like, I'm sure that's how it was. People are, I don't know if that's how it's being advertised or that's the sort of thing that we're going for, but it's definitely kind of like that. It's just the case of you're just a bunch of sort of generic looking marine spacemen sort of thing, running around with rocket launchers and shotguns and just shooting each other on.
That's pretty much what protagonist of Doom has always been.
That's it, but that's what it is, and it's just a multiplayer deathmatch thing, basically.
Is it like basically off the most recent, or I think Doom 4's to come out? Presumably the same engine and everything.
I think so, and I'm pretty sure that the multiplayer beta you've played
I watched a gameplay trailer of it the other day. It looked much the same as Doom 3 from what I could remember.
Yeah.
In all honesty, when you said Doom beta, I thought that was the beta for the upcoming game.
Yeah.
Sorry, Euan, you have confused me there, because this is essentially Doom 4, but it's just being called Doom. They've gone back to just call it.
Right.
Doom.
So you've been playing the multiplayer.
I was sitting.
Because I thought have they released some souped up?
No. It's it's coming out later this year. I think it's May is the release date. It's by Bethesda. But yeah, I've been playing the multiplayer mode. There is a single player mode in this new game that's coming out. But
it's an afterthought for you, is it?
I just the multiplayer mode was what was in the beta.
Right.
You couldn't play the single player.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
there's just getting people to shoot each other for the moment.
Yeah. And it was essentially just Quake 3, with the exception that there is one sort of like pickup that you can get in it, which turns you into a big monster, and then you can just run around the place just destroying everybody, which is quite fun.
Oh, that actually sounds like a nice addition to an otherwise very generic thing.
Yeah. It still feels a bit generic. It still feels a bit just like you're running around, and it really feels like a Doom game. Just that, like the level design and stuff like that. It's all that very sort of grim sci-fi, but slightly silly at the same time. It's definitely got that feel to it. But it was reasonably enjoyable for the hour that I played it, sort of thing. But then I can't see myself actually sitting playing that for hours on end. You just, you know.
I don't know, the recent Doom game, like the new-ish like setup for the Doom games, I don't find it particularly inspiring. I mean, Doom is a classic, you know, and I loved playing that, and it was genuinely quite like scary when I was playing it as a
back
kid.
In the day,
SNES and just
back in the day, that was
but
terrifying.
it was one of the first proper shooters. But I suppose nowadays things have just specialised, and a straight-up shooter is not enough.
No,
but you need some.
That's the thing, they haven't kind of retained any of the character of the original games, really. Like either in the look of it or you know, it's lost what I guess made it unique.
Yeah.
Which was probably it was the only thing of its kind at the time.
This is the thing, exactly, back in the day.
Right, well, I played a bit of that. I'm probably not going to pick up the full game based on that, though. I mean, it's been a long time since I actually played any of the Doom games, but I don't see me playing this one, unfortunately.
If it's anything like this, what they seem to have gone for is more the sort of Dead Space style. Not even the aesthetics of that, but the horror style of it, the kind of
Dead
jump
Space
scares.
is a survival game. It's so much. It's very different.
It's a joyless slog, is what it is.
Apart from Dead Space 3, which is more of shootery, but Dead Space 1 and 2 is closer to probably whatever Resident Evil's than Doom.
Yeah. I think because Doom was always a bit tongue in cheek, and the same with the Quake games, they were a wee bit, you know, they did have that sort of like they could be kind of horror style monsters and stuff like that, but at the same time it was a wee bit silly, like because the fact that you got like nail guns and you know the BFG 3000 or whatever the hell it was called, sort of thing. It was just that was just a bit tongue in cheek. You know, Trent Reznor doing the music and the jump noises. Like. It was a wee bit like that, and I think they've kind of, I mean, it feels, this multiplayer thing, it almost feels like they've gone a bit more in that direction, in the sort of slightly silly direction, if you see what I mean. So, but I mean, it's not, like you say, it's not anything we haven't seen before. I mean, I loved Quake 3 Arena when it came out, but that's, 15 years ago now, probably longer. So... Yep, so that's a Doom beta. The full Doom game comes out on, like I say, May the 13th. It's due,
and it's going to have a single player campaign as well.
It's got a single player campaign, which I'm reading here will be more than 13 hours long. Oof.
So probably 13 and a half.
It's not really with a single player campaign. It's a single player game that has a multiplayer to it. This is why we're both getting confused here.
Aye.
So, we and the company seem to have it arse about it.
Nobody seems to know what's going on with that, least of all us. Right, yeah, so that's going to be on Windows, PS4 and Xbox One. The next thing that I was doing was that my girlfriend bought me the PlayStation camera for the PS4. Which I wasn't expecting, but there we go, I've got it. And I straight away went off and downloaded Surgeon Simulator. Right.
Of course.
A game which
that
I
explains
played
things
on the PC a million times before, but I was just like, okay, I know you can play Surgeon Simulator with this PlayStation camera, and I did. So I fired it up, and you're using two controllers, so one for each hand, to move around. So you're moving your hand around and picking stuff up, and then, smashing your patient in the face with a mallet, that kind of thing. Just because Surgeon Simulator, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's designed for you to mess about.
It's a game sort of made not to work.
I made my girlfriend join in on this. So
she was one hand and you were the other.
Yeah, she was one hand and I was the other, and she was totally like, nah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Literally within seconds of her picking up that controller, she was in hysterics. As she picked up a mallet and tried to smash this guy's ribcage. By the way, she's quite good at smashing people's ribcages, so keep away from her.
I really struggled with it when I played. I just could not get that ribcage. I just kept trying to smash the guy in the face with a hammer.
You can't help it. What I was doing was I was just grabbing his face with my hand and then going,
just kind of weirdly mashing it with your strange floppy CGI fingers.
But it's definitely like that PlayStation camera is worth it just for playing Surgeon Simulator alone. Alright, definitely.
You just explain why do you need the camera if you're still using controllers to do things?
Because the controllers pick up the the camera picks up the light off the controllers.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Same made.
And the
Alright, yeah,
PS3,
yeah.
you had
You'd use a Wii one.
the light sticks,
Yeah.
basically. But the controllers on the PS4 have got those big lights on them, so
Alright.
the camera can pick those up.
Gotcha, cool.
So yeah, you're using those as your hands in Surgeon Simulator, and it's fucking hilarious. Totally recommend it if you've got a PlayStation camera. Get Surgeon Simulator. It is so funny. One other thing before I move on to the actual game I put some hours into, I finally finished The Escapists.
Ah, yes,
Well,
congratulations
I say
on
finished.
that.
I mean, I escaped the very
Victory.
easy prison, the first one. The video is on our YouTube channel of the highlights of my last stream of that, which I managed to condense some 2-hour long stream down into like 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
and it's just generally me running about looking for duct tape, I think is the general thing. Looking for duct tape.
It was
so
a
that I
recurring
can-
scheme,
Yeah.
Well, it really feels like you earned it.
Yeah, but I did go out. I dug my way out and made a run for freedom, and I was quite happy. And then vowed never to play the game again. It's a good game though, and especially my estimation of it went up once I finally escaped from prison, because it was just getting frustrating. But once I got out, I was like, actually, this game's pretty good, because that's how it works.
Do you feel prepared for incarceration now?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to prison now. So
Alright.
come and get me. Come and get me. So yeah, you can look at that video on our YouTube channel. Okay, the game that I've actually been playing is Black Desert Online, because I
Right.
felt the need to go and play an MMO.
Because everybody does from time to time.
And this seems to be the MMO at the moment, I think. It seems to be the one that everybody is quietly going on about, sort of like, oh, if you play
You
Black
do
Desert.
see bits and
It
bobs
does
about
pop
it
up.
here and
It
there,
keeps
yeah.
popping up. So I was just like, right.
At the moment,
hearing
the
this on
market
the
is a bit
grapevine.
quiet. From
Yeah.
time to time, you hear about Elder Scrolls Online still, maybe, from time to time.
I think, well, the weird thing about Black Desert Online is that it's a Korean game which came out 2 years ago in Korea. Now, then, I think, let me see. Yeah, Japan and Russia in 2015, but it only came out in sort of the English-speaking North America and Europe and that kind of thing in 2016, this year.
Yeah.
So it's only just come out, but the game is actually 2 years old now.
So it's got plenty of content.
Yeah. Now, I've picked it up. Now, this is like, it's an MMO like no other. I mean, I've only put a few hours into it, and I've not scratched the surface. I'm basically still running about doing beginner stuff and working out what the fuck is going on. But it advertises itself as a kind of sandbox, like fantasy MMO. So you're still running about killing monsters and, you know, doing quests and stuff like that. But there's so much more to it. Like you can, well, let me think. Stuff that I've not even experienced yet. I mean, you can buy a house and you can upgrade it and stuff like that. But it also has like a weather system. So depending on what the weather's like, and it changes, like you can't predict the weather obviously, but it can affect combat and stuff like that. I mean, if it gets misty, you can sneak up on things better.
Rains get your sleeves get all wet and you can't lift
Yep.
your arm to shoot
That's
people.
it. It's exactly like that. There's mounted combat. There's the fighting in it is actually, you know how in MMOs you usually do this sort of like pressing the next
Press
enemy
icon and
button.
things happen.
I press tab, press a number,
Yeah.
cast fireball.
Well, that's the Warcraft.
but that's a kind of recurring theme in MMOs, isn't it?
Not so much anymore, but still, things have started changing.
Yes.
Maybe a year ago or 2 years ago.
Aye. But so this game has like you actually have to aim your
So there's
attacks.
yeah.
When I've gone a wizard, I've just thought I haven't played a wizard or anything in any of these games for a while, so I decided to go for the spellcasting class. But I've actually got to aim my spells and stuff like that. I can't just target that enemy and then just start clicking things and it automatically hits them. You've got to actually hit them. But the combat uses a combo system and stuff like that as well. So it's not just like you do have a hotkey.
Yeah, there is some sort of
hotkeys and
action
stuff.
element
Yeah.
to the combats because
Yeah.
I've seen some videos, obviously, and it looked fairly similar to. I mean, Korea tends to release games like this nowadays. This is not
Yeah.
the first one; it's just one of the most popular ones.
That's the
nowadays,
first one I've played,
or the
definitely.
biggest one.
But yeah, so like casting my fireball, I've got to press backwards and then left click to cast the fireball spell. Doing holding down shift and pressing left and right will teleport me left and right, and it's all these kind of things. It's just like it's all button combinations.
So
It's
is it only
almost
PC
like-
or is it?
Yeah, I'm
ported
playing on the
for
PC.
console?
Yeah, I'm playing on the PC.
Because from what you're saying is, it sounds like it was maybe made for a controller. Or
No. This is Windows only.
All right.
So yeah, it does. It almost does feel like they should have been made for a console. It feels almost like, I don't know, like a fighting, like a proper fighting game.
Yeah.
Because you're actually having to do button combinations to do things, and you do get like bonus things for doing certain combos and all these kind of things. So I can like smash things with my staff and then press a magical dagger button to do this combo sort of thing. It's kind of strange.
So in regards of setting, because I had a quick look and it looks strange, because it looked like you could make a character that looks fairly sort of fantasy-like, but there were also characters wearing modern clothes and things like this, and I don't fully understand that.
Like what?
It's a weird one. It's because it's the classes are definitely all sort of fantasy based. Yeah. Like they're all kind of, with the exception of maybe a couple of things. But you've got things like, you know, the wizard and the sorceress, and you've got like a sort of warrior. But you've also got like martial artists, and there's witches and that kind of thing. But then the actual setting itself, it feels like a fantasy thing, but it feels almost like that kind of, almost like a Final Fantasy setting, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That
it's like
almost,
hyperactive.
Yeah, almost feels like there should be some steampunk airships in the sky, but there aren't. Like it just, it's kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it other than that. But definitely at the moment, I'm just kind of running around killing imps and wolves and stuff like that. So it's got that standard fantasy thing, MMO thing going on for it. What else to say about it at the moment? One of the things that people are enjoying about it is the player customization, like the actual creating your character. There's not just some basic faces that you can pick. You can really, it's almost like The Sims.
Right.
You know, you can really just like customize how your character looks and stuff like that, and their hair colour, and you know, it's much more detailed, and people are apparently really enjoying that. It doesn't bother me so much, but
you always enjoy making an amusing.
I enjoy making complete freaks. But
as do I.
I don't know. I don't actually think that Black Desert Online. It's not like Fallout where you can make the biggest freak in the planet, or Skyrim or anything like that.
Well, I think this game is has got some sort of manga-like characters.
And that was another thing, because like the sorceress, I think, looked very sort of anime style thing, but then the warrior looks like, you know, somewhere nearer an actual fantasy warrior, and it's kind of bizarre. Like,
I don't know, South Korea has its own manga style, which is getting more and more popular nowadays. So maybe it's just a matter of getting used to it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, it's just I had a look, and I
used to it. Yeah,
I can't say I feel the setting yet. I can't make up my mind about it.
I think it's one of these things, because the game's got so much going on in it that you'd probably just have to play it yourself to find out. I think I might have a guest pass. Is there
some sort of main plot, some sort of idea behind things?
There's some sort of war going on between two big sort of nation states or something like that. I don't know what role you play in it yet, but that's all I know about it so far.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're on one side of it or the other side, or you get to pick a side. I don't know. But yeah, it's got a lot of other things in it. Like if you get a house, you can hire NPCs to live in your house basically, and get them to go and do stuff. You can send them out to go and gather resources, and you know, or maybe sell things.
That's an interesting concept, to pay someone to live in your house.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I haven't got that far in it. I've just been reading up on it basically, and just been like, every time I read something else about this game, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like it's almost like they've taken a fantasy MMO and then inserted everything else in the world into it. Like, just went, this game needs more of this.
Alright.
But
give it a go.
There's a lot of gathering, crafting, stuff like that going on in it as well.
Of course.
Which remind me a lot of Final Fantasy 14, the online one. It was 14, wasn't it?
It's the 14,
yeah. Because I played that for a bit, and that had some interesting gathering mechanics in it and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of similar to that. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm only a few hours into it, and it's been interesting but also very confusing. So I'll maybe keep you updated on that as time goes on, and let you know where I'm at.
Yeah, I'd be interested to learn more about it.
Like I say, I think it's part of the package that I bought for it, because in North America and Europe, it was a buy to play, whereas in the other parts of the world it's free to play with the buy like additional content you can buy. So I think as part of the package I got some guest passes. So if you want one, I'm the man.
Hello.
I think they're 7-day ones. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly, but we'll see. I can maybe pass one on to you.
Thank you.
Sounds like it's going to be another Factorio. Just
Oh man,
consuming your just multiple options, taking up every.
But the thing about Factorio was that Factorio was confusing for half an hour, and then you slotted into here we go. Whereas this game, I'm just like, there's too much. There's so much going on around here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, remember, I've reached another two. I'm at another part of Factorio where I've just kind of you hit a wall of like, what am I trying to do with this?
Yeah,
how am I
just
putting
given
this
up
together?
on it. It was fun while it lasted, and I think I'm just like I've not got the time for this.
Well, I still do.
Right, so yeah, that was Black Desert Online. I'll keep you updated on that. That was developed by Pearl Abyss, and it's only on Microsoft Windows. Okay, so I think that's probably going to wrap up our video games in it.
It's been a fairly hefty section.
It has been a fairly hefty section. That's oh god. No. Bye, we're going to have to move on.
Alright, fair enough.
Let's just say that.
So long as you remember to send me that key, I want to give it a
yeah,
try.
I'll do that, man. I'll do that. I've also got to show you some clips from The Room, which is the best film ever made. But we'll get to that as well.
Let's do that, yeah.
No non-podcast talk.
Sorry. We're meta
We're getting a wee bit meta here. Stop it!
Right, so we're going to have a quick break because I need a cup of tea, and then we're going to talk about some board games.
Awesome.
We are back, ready for some board gaming chat.
Yeah.
Might have to try and keep this reasonably short.
That depends on your rant. There's going to be a rant.
There's not going to be a rant. I'm just going to. It's going to be more of a warning thing. But in fact, let's do that now. So we want to just linking the board game and video game sections together. We're going to talk about the Dark Souls board game, which is up on Kickstarter at the moment. So
just going to let Dark Souls dominate. Again.
We just figured we have to talk about it simply because this is probably the most famous board game Kickstarter ever.
I think so, yeah. It's definitely amassed a hell of a lot of money.
Hit its target in 3 minutes, I believe, and it's currently on like $1,500,000.
I'm going to give you a live update right now of what it's sitting at on Kickstarter. It has 20 days to go. It had a pledge goal of £50,000. £50,000.
Yep.
Alright. It's had 16,224 backers and has made £1,585,580.
That's not bad.
Alright. That is a hell of a lot of money. For a board game, that's a stupid amount of money. Right. Now,
here comes the
this
rant.
game. So this game, no, let's. I'm going to be fair to you. Okay, we're going to be fair to you because Pawel, you've had a good look at this. Yes.
I watched some YouTube videos, and unfortunately, I got excited about it. So I'm here.
You want me to talk you out of it?
Yes, please.
Right. Now, Euan, have you seen anything about this?
I've seen nothing but the box.
You've seen nothing but the box, which is basically the Dark Souls 3 cover. Now, so here's the little title for it. So it's Dark Souls the board game. It is a strategically challenging, deeply immersive combat exploration game for 1 to 4 players. Okay, so it's trying to simulate the Dark Souls board game.
Yeah.
Dark Souls video game, sorry. The board game simulating the board game. Right.
How do I simulate myself?
Now, basically what the direction they're going with this is that it's supposed to be an extremely difficult, frustrating board game with monsters in it that are hard to beat, and you have to sort of, what they're claiming it, they have to like learn the way that they move and that kind of thing, like you do in the Dark Souls video game, where basically you can't just walk in any of the Dark Souls games, Bloodborne included, Demon Souls included. You can't
Every enemy you have to learn.
You have to learn how they move, particularly with bosses. You have to like go in and basically stand and watch them for a while, see what they get up to before you go anywhere near them. Because if you just run in swinging, you're dead.
Now, I do that whilst my shield is raised.
Yeah. And probably walking backwards as well.
And there's cliffs behind me.
Oh, God! Now, I can understand why this game has made so much money, right? The Dark Souls series is
Popular.
fucking massive. It's big video game series. Probably at the moment one of the biggest.
Yeah.
Now, this has been, 10 days into this Kickstarter, and like I say, it's made £1.5 million. Now, I feel that people are jumping the gun a bit here, alright?
I think it's going to make much more than that, though.
Oh, yeah.
And
you've got about, 16,000 people there at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, you must imagine a lot more people than that actually play Dark Souls or...
Yeah.
You know,
would have a natural progression for a Kickstarter campaign as an initial burst, then a slowdown, and then a couple last days can be crazy. So it's going to be way more than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So, we'll get down to the nitty gritty of this then.
Tell us your feelings on this, Chris, because you obviously have some.
Now, you've mentioned already that £80 for a core box is dear, which I agree.
That's a lot.
That's why I'm here. That's why I want you to talk me out of it.
Okay, so this game, it comes with... Let's talk about this game's good points, alright? This game comes with minis, so miniature figures, alright? Now, these minis, they look nice.
Yeah.
They do look nice.
Plastic, metal,
resin.
I think they're either resin. Most minis are these days. So it comes with quite a few of them, to be fair. Okay, so you've got sort of 2 big bosses and 3 big bosses in the core game. There are 4 different character classes. There are 5 mini bosses, and there's 6 different types of grunts.
Plus a lot of stretch goals.
Plus there are stretch goals, yes, which are adding expansions, which.
There's additional character classes, additional enemies of almost every type. Like there's so much stuff already unlocked, it's actually going to be a fairly big box.
Yeah. Now, I like the idea of this game. Don't get me wrong, I like the idea of this game. I'm like you, Pawel. I talked myself out. I had to talk myself out of getting this. But I just think that this is advertising itself as a dungeon crawler where you're basically having to learn the movement of different monsters and stuff like that and deal with that.
Yeah.
Now, in a video game, that's fine, because that's like you're grinding away at monsters and stuff like that, and if something goes wrong, then that's your own stupid fault and all this sort of thing. Now, in a board game, I don't think that's going to translate.
When you explaining that there, it sounded to me like the kind of thing that would be just an absolute... Because either it's going to be too easy, or it's going to be
frustratingly hard. And I think they're going for frustratingly hard.
But that could be... I find that rewarding in Demon Souls. In a board game, that's not what I play a board game for.
Have you looked through the boss fight tutorial for this game?
Have I looked through? Sorry, what?
There is a YouTube video. Well, there's a couple. One of them is about a boss fight. It's just giving you a tutorial of how a boss fight would look. So the whole prediction of the boss's movement, which is the core mechanic for video games, and has been translated in the game by not shuffling the
the
activity
deck
until it goes down to, I think, half its hit points. And I thought it actually represented the idea of memorising the moveset fairly well.
But that in a board game. Okay, so they're trying to translate a video game into a board game, basically. Now that, I don't think is going to work very well. And I think that it's going to make this board game a complete slog in the terms of how long it's going to take to play this game. Just to play through one level of it. Okay. Now, they are saying that, I'm going back to, they're saying you have to learn the movesets of all these, the bosses and stuff like that. There aren't a lot of bosses in this game, alright? They're not giving you a lot of bosses. Fair enough, it's probably going to be open to expansions. In fact, as part of these stretch goals, there are expansions.
Yeah.
But once you've learned, once you've played through this game, I don't feel that you're going to play through it again.
Because those decks aren't too big, yeah?
Yeah. I just feel like it's just going to be a case of for how long. Now I'm guessing here, but I mean I've got a hell of a lot of board games. I've played a lot of dungeon crawlers. I'm looking at this game and saying this game is probably going to be the longest dungeon crawler that you'll play. And for what you get out of it, I don't think it's worth £80.
Right.
I just do not think that it's worth £80. I would maybe pick this game up if it wasn't £80. If they were giving this out at £40, half the price. Okay, now I know there's a lot of minis and stuff like that, and maybe for the £80, I probably still think that's a bit too expensive, but, because you're getting all these minis, that's how they're getting away with that. But, if it was £40, I would maybe pick this up and give it a go, but for twice that price, nah.
Alright.
I'm just not doing it.
But price aside, I mean, fair enough. That's very dear. And your average board game of this size is, did you say 40?
Roughly, I mean, I don't think for this size, no. I would say maybe you'd probably see that at 60 quid and think that that's okay. That's maybe an average price for a game that's got a lot of minis in it. But 80 quid.
But price aside, you said that it would be a slog. Did you also say it? Do you think it's not going to have a lot of repetitive value?
I don't think it's going to have replayability. I think that like they've chucked these grunts in. I get the feeling that these grunts, because the idea is that you want to play through the level to get to the boss. Now, a big problem with dungeon crawling board games is the little guys, like, because they can either be too easy or they're too hard. And in this game, they're probably going to be too hard. And if you're just wanting to fight your way through to get to a boss fight, which is going to take ages, I just feel like I would lose interest very quickly.
One of the aspects of Dark Souls video games is that they actually don't annoy me as much as they just terrify me, or I just give up. But there isn't actual frustration there. It just hopelessness, yes, but not frustration. Because you're fighting against what you think is very hard, but still at least a little bit just mechanic, because it's your reflexes, it's your strategy. Whereas in a board game, reflexes don't matter.
Yeah,
it's really only calculations and making decisions and luck when you're drawing cards.
Which draws the game out.
And it can cause frustration because this is the engine that you cannot beat it, even if you feel that you're trying hard. I've played Shadowrun Crossfire like 10 times by now. I am yet to win it once.
Yeah.
So sometimes.
But the Shadowrun Crossfire, is that like does it feel like a slog?
Oh no, it's a very fast game.
Yeah, because that's what I'm worried about in this Dark Souls game, is that it's going to just be a slog, and it's going to be boring. Like, I mean, because of the way dungeon crawlers are, and this one is no exception. This is just some dice that you're rolling and stuff like that, and you've got different bits of equipment and things like that. They've dressed it up as a Dark Souls thing, you know. You've got your left hand and your right hand and stuff like that. But it's essentially just the same thing. You're just running about rolling dice and killing monsters, and I just feel that. Especially because they're saying this is a strategy game. This is what they're saying. It's a strategy game. It's not a dungeon crawling game.
So this is what actually is lighting a red light.
That did set alarm bells going off, because I was sitting there going, right, that's just going to draw the game out. Because if you're just going to be sitting there, and it's fun, you know, for a while discussing with your team, like you get that team feeling sort of thing, because it's cooperative, this game, where you're just being like, right, if I do this and you do that, blah blah blah. But if that's what the game is going to be, if it's just going to be 10 hours of that to do one
it sounds
level.
like it might be a much more rewarding experience as a 4-player co-op game, rather than slogging through it by yourself there, or 2 players or whatever. It's
I wouldn't recommend slogging through a game on a board game by yourself anyway.
But the thing with like the difficulty of Dark Souls, Demon Souls, whatever, is you're playing a computer game. Exactly. You're back to the start. You just go. This is a board game. You're mucking about with pieces and everything like that. Like that will, like you say, it will just wear you out
it's
very
just
quickly.
Get annoying, I think. Now, I would love to be proven wrong. By the way, I would love if this game came out and it was the best dungeon crawler ever. Like, and I would definitely then pick it up.
It's going to be available on retail. It's not like it's Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah, I know that. But I'll
tune in 2 years.
There is a part of me
folks.
that wants to be wrong. Yeah. Right? Now, I am making a few assumptions on this. Like I was sitting chatting about this. So I would love if the assumptions that I've made are wrong. Believe me.
Well, I'm sure we'll be hearing about this game. And to be fair, before even Kickstarter ends, I'm sure there's going to be more videos.
I'm slightly annoyed that you wanted me to talk you out of it, because there was a wee bit of me that was hoping you were going to pick it up. Just so I could see if I was
I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
I think there's a devil on both of your shoulders.
I hear your concerns. I hear your concerns.
Yes.
And they valid. Some of them are subjective, because there is a masochistic part of me that likes to set out a board game for a couple nights and play it on my own in a dark room, even if it takes forever. I've played. What's it called? The big one.
Arkham Horror.
Arkham Horror, and the original Arkham Horror, not the newer one that's more streamlined and probably better. But the actual Arkham Horror with expansions on my own took me a week. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
So I might.
I mean, at least
I'll keep watching it.
It seems like a worthy project anyway, like something that they're trying to trying to achieve something with it, and at least it's not another funny cards for boring wankers game.
There's another thing.
Oh, you guys got annoyed by that, yeah?
Call me cards for boring
Funny
wankers.
cards for boring wankers, making over $1 million on a Kickstarter.
Yeah. But there's
at least two of them.
Right, okay, so you're saying at least they're trying to do something decent here, right? Now, but there's
Sounds
an
ambitious.
extremely cynical part of me that says no, they're not. They're just trying to make money.
They're
Especially
using
because
a powerful brand,
Yes.
and they're charging more for it.
especially because they are you can buy additional bosses for this, right? Which again suggests to me that the 3 bosses that are in the core game are not enough. All right, now you can buy additional bosses for this. They're saying these are very big models, but they're 28 quid each, and there's 1, 2,
We're already
3,
on top of
4,
80 quid.
5. At the moment, 5 of them.
Yeah.
Now there are people out there that have just gone. I want all these add-ons. I want them all.
It's
Right?
Dark
And
Souls,
all of a
and I've
sudden
just
you've
finished
spent 250 quid on a Dark Souls board game.
These
You know,
people-
it's
Amongst those people that actually contributed to the Kickstarter, you're going to have, I don't know, tens of thousands that have just finished Dark Souls 3
Yes.
and are aware there's not going to
yes.
be any new releases
Like,
anytime soon.
They've not been
actually-
stupid about this. Believe me.
Who's actually making this game in terms of like
Now, this is
who's
another
properly
thing.
owned by,
This is made by Steam Forged Games, and another thing that kind of put me off, and this was a question I put to you, Pawel, when
Yeah.
you first made me aware
Yeah,
of
and I
this
couldn't
Kickstarter,
find anything.
was that I asked who the designer was,
Yeah.
and nobody seems to know. Which, again, set alarm bells off for me, because board games these days, they're all designer board games. They're all, the designer's name is clearly stated on the front of it, because people, actually, believe it or not, do have favourite designers and things like that. And you know, if you're picking up a game that's designed by,
We've talked about them.
Uwe Rosenberg, you know what you're getting. Vladimir Vatel, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, it's... And the fact that there's no designer's name on the front of this, I don't know, sketchy for me. Sketchy
Off-putting for you, is it? You like a designer game. You like it all artisanal.
Aye.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's my thought about it was, you know, and I don't know about the finances of, you know, video game companies, but I mean, Sony are involved with the folk that make Dark Souls. I don't know, like there's a lot of big.
I think no, is it not just they
Or
have
just
a
maybe
deal
deals.
with Sony? I don't
Anyway.
know exactly.
The idea that this is like coming from a really big like brand essentially putting out on a Kickstarter, and it almost seems like this is now going to be the economy for board games, where it's, you know, well, we won't try and make something ourselves, we'll just do a Kickstarter for it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it seems like that's a precedent that's been set, and now everybody's just doing it that way. And no matter who you are, just use it as a Kickstarter.
Even like big board gaming companies are now just using Kickstarter to put their games out, because they
Wait,
make more money out of it.
great
that
way to get your pre-orders.
Yeah. One of the other things, and we'll wrap this up here now, because we've talked about this for far too long. But
Sorry.
Dark Souls has stank up the episode.
if I haven't put you off buying it so far, this will put you off. Okay, it's being made in Stockport,
No way.
or at least that's where the company's from.
Yeah.
so
Although I feel that could help really get them into the grim,
put Stockport on the map.
dark fantasy atmosphere.
Yeah.
and everything, you know.
The game's supposed to be depressing and frustrate you, yeah?
All right, you've been to Stockport then.
Heard of it. I've actually not visited physically, but a part of me has visited.
You visited it in your nightmares.
I have a rich imagination and I've heard
I
stories.
think that should be the next setting, you know. Now, not do another Bloodborne. Do something where you trudge through the Midlands as like, and you start off
I actually thought that's
as
what
like an
Bloodborne is.
RAC repairman
Mediocre Englishman simulator.
who's had his van nicked by a bunch of jakies.
Right, well, that's some chat there about the Dark Souls board game, which is up on Kickstarter, and if you want to go and back it, despite the chat that we've just had, please go on ahead. So you'll find it on Kickstarter, Dark Souls, the board game by Steam Forged Games. Right, let's move on. Let's actually talk about some games we've played.
At least some of us.
What will we start with?
Well, we can talk about this one, and Pawel can probably come out with his famous catchphrase.
Right.
No, I can't believe you've played it without me.
I
Excellent.
gestured and he did it. That was quite cool.
Oh, can we do...
No. I need to recharge now.
No, you pressed the wrong button. That's his other catchphrase.
I didn't point them in the right way.
No.
Right, go on then.
So, yeah, we played Roll for the Galaxy.
We did play Roll for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear more about it.
It's the big new Euro game. It's
not really.
lighting up the world of board gaming with its innovative new dice system.
Yeah, we should say that this is basically like a dice version of a card game.
Yes.
Which is called Race for the Galaxy, which I also own and have enjoyed.
I also own this.
Yes, I also own that. But I mean, for me, before you even go into this review, I'm just going to say that this has completely replaced Race for the Galaxy for me.
I think we all decide that. There's a part of me thinking the other day, it's like, I'd quite like to maybe sit down and play a game of Race for the Galaxy, followed by a game of Roll for the Galaxy, just to get me off Race for the Galaxy forever.
Yeah. Just to
just
sort
so
of
I can
settle your mind.
Yeah, because and then you can put everything in its proper perspective that way. Because the games are quite similar.
Yeah.
If you,
Not deliberately so.
Yeah. No, we're not.
What we'll do is, right, let's just talk about what Roll for the Galaxy is,
Yeah.
and then we can compare it to Race.
Nah, 'cause
Let's talk about this as if you've never played either game.
Yeah.
That would be me.
Okay, so let's tell Pawel what Roll for the Galaxy is.
I hear it's a dice game.
On you go, Euan.
Well, it's a space exploration and generally developing a civilization.
So for it.
Engine building kind of thing.
Yeah, very much so. In it, you've got your sort of starting setup where you have a number of dice with various symbols on them, and you'll have a home planet and some other, usually a development and another planet. You get developments in this that will sort of improve.
No, it's a home sort of planet,
Home
which is
system or
like
something
2
like.
planets plus another planet. Those are set starting, not set starting planets. There's
There's
like 10 of each or something like that, and you draw 2 at random, and you start with those. Carry on.
Yeah, no, your dice you've got there. They're the main mechanic of the game, and they have
A lot of those.
Oh, there's a lot of lovely, lovely dice. You start off with white ones, they're your general dice. Everybody, you can't really get any more of them. They're your starting dice, and they're quite basic. But they do have basically a symbol on each of the sides representing one of the actions you can take. In the round, and there's 5 actions. Should we go through them? Speak about the actions, or anything else?
Well, it is the kind of main thing in the game. So there's 5 actions that you can take, and they are explore, develop, settle, produce, and ship. Mm-hmm. Now, there's different. The symbols and the dice match up with those, and there's lots of different coloured dice, and the dice have different spreads depending on the colour. So basically, like the yellow dice have more. There's also wild symbols on the dice which can count for anything. So like the yellow ones have more wild symbols. But like the red ones have more settle symbols because the red dice are the military dice, so it represents that you're trying to take over different planets.
The blue ones come from commodity planets, so they've got more sort of production,
like shipping and production and stuff like that. So there's like what? Oh, here we go. Here's the bag of dice.
Oh, it's a
What do you
lovely
think of that,
bag of
Pawel?
dice.
It's not a small bag.
It's pretty, isn't it?
I think it's quite sexy, yeah.
So there's what? 5 or 6 different colours of dice? 6?
Yeah.
6 different colours
You've
of
got
dice.
white, yellow, red, blue, purple, green,
Yeah.
and a sort of browny
Brownie
colour.
yeah. But everybody starts with 5 white dice, and depending on your starting planets, you might get extra dice as well on top of that. Mm-hmm. Now, what you actually do in this game is that you have a cup which you put your dice in,
and you've got a little screen.
And you've got a little screen, and behind that screen there's a little thing that you've got which has the 5 different phases on it. So you're exploring, you're developing, settle, and ship, and you produce. And you roll your dice, and depending on what symbols you get, you match them up with the little pad thing that you've got. So if you rolled, say, an explore and a settle and a develop with your first, because you start the game with 3 white dice basic.
Yeah.
So if you rolled an explore, a settle, and develop, you would just put those dice next to those bits on your pad. Now, what you actually do then is that you've got to pick one of these phases. So you take one of your dice, and it doesn't have to match the phase that you're going to pick. You can put this dice anywhere, and it basically becomes a dice like that phase. So even if you had a settle on that dice, you could put it on the ship space, and it basically now is a ship die.
And it means you're definitely taking that
Yes,
action.
and it means that action will definitely happen this round, because every phase doesn't always happen. It depends on what the players want to do. So you can be relying on other people to pick certain phases, and it doesn't happen. Which was happening to, I think in particular, me and you
pretty
just got
badly done over
pretty
by
badly
it.
humped by
Well,
that.
there was one round where I did nothing. And there was one where there was another one late in the game where I pretty much did almost nothing again.
I think I had 3 or 4 rounds in a row where I basically took just one action.
Yeah.
It was pretty frustrating, but that's the game, though. Yeah. That's part of the game. So yeah, basically, you do this behind a screen, so there's a bit of honesty. If you want to play this game with people that are prone to cheating, don't.
Yeah, it's
because
you could just change
you roll,
your die.
You roll your dice behind your screen, and then you assign them behind your screen, and then everybody reveals what they've done.
Gotcha.
And if you're playing with certain cheating individuals, then
This thing though, I didn't even like playing the game. I never felt.
So playing this particular game
you don't,
with a particular group becomes a declaration.
Yes,
of trust.
It does. It's a declaration of trust or stupidity, depending on.
Roll for the Galaxy as an initiation for the trustworthy.
Yeah. So basically, there are other things you can do with the dice, So, like, you might have certain powers depending on things that you've put out on the table, the little tiles that you get that represent the planets and the developments that might let you, change dice to other things and that kind of thing. But basically, everybody reveals what they've done with their dice, and then whatever you play through the phases that everybody's picked. So, like I say, you might not play all the phases. Now the phases do different things. I won't go into too much detail about them, but the Explore one lets you take new tiles out of the bag and put them into your home sector, which you don't get those, but you can build them later. So it's basically giving you the option of building those.
Everybody starts off the game with one development and one planet.
One planet, yeah. And the tiles are double-sided, which is nice. So there's always a planet on one side and development on the other, and you can pick which one you want to put in. You can also just take money with the Explore thing. Develop lets you put your developments out, lets you build developments. Now, developments and planets have all got numbers on the top left. You have to spend that many dice to build that development or put that planet into play. And it just once you've hit that number, you put the planet into play.
So you don't need to do it all in one round.
No, you don't have to. You can leave dice there,
But you're also leaving dice.
Yes, you're also leaving dice out of play, So develop and settle are pretty much identical phases. The produce and the ship ones are much more interesting. Produce lets you use your dice that you've rolled for production, put them onto certain planets, which basically those dice then become goods. Now, the planets have different colours, so there's like 5 different colours, but one of them's grey, which is like grey planets don't produce anything. But you've got yellow, green, blue and brown, I think it is, which match the colours of the dice, or 4 of the dice anyway. Which is quite important.
Yes, there is a point
because
to that.
So when you produce your things, you do kind of want to match the colour of the dice with the planets if you can. And then when it comes to shipping things, you've got 2 choices. You can just sell your goods for money, because there is money in this game. We'll explain why in a second. Or you can ship your goods, or you can consume them. The idea. You consume them. Which gives you victory points. Now, consuming them, you get a victory point just for consuming a good, and basically you just take that good and put it aside. But if the good is the same color, if the die is the same color as the planet, you get an extra point. If the die that you used to ship that good, because remember that shipping is actually an action, is the same color as the planet as well, then you get an extra point. So you can get somewhere between 1 and 3 points for every good that you ship. Now, the different colors of things, they only matter when you're trading them, because I think the brown ones or the blue ones are worth the least. You only get $3 for that.
The exact,
and I think the yellow ones are worth 6. So it goes 3, 4, 5, 6 for the 4 different colours. But when it comes to consuming things, the colours are irrelevant. So
it's more about matching the dice.
Yeah, it's more about matching, because then you get points for it. So it can be a nice wee interesting thing there, because the yellow planets tend to be the harder ones to get out. They cost more, but you get more victory points for them at the end of the game. But also, it's useless to get if you're just wanting to ship your goods for points. You'd be as well just putting out brown planets, for example. Or
it's kind of set up with the blue ones. The blue ones are the lowest value, and they're the easiest one to get that combo with, because you're more likely to have more blue dice. Basically, I only ever went for the victory, because I was using it for money most of the times, and I really only went for the victory points when it was the matching 3, which didn't happen often enough, obviously, in my case, because I kept losing.
Aye. But the thing, at the end of the round then, you have like all the dice that you've used go into a little pool, that your own personal little pool.
Call your citizenry.
Your citizenry. And you then, at the end of the round, you have to spend money. You have to spend $1 to get those dice back. For every die you want back, you have to spend $1. So you might not get all your dice back. In fact, chances are you're going to be leaving stuff behind every round. So you've got to think about next round. I'm looking to produce stuff, so maybe I should take a bunch of blue dice or something like that, because that's got more production stuff in it, or shipping things or whatever. You start to really think about what dice it is that you want to use. So the spread of the dice actually becomes much more of a sort of gamey thing at that point, when you're really thinking about what you want to do in the next round. But the fact is, it's dice. It's a chance. It's a game of chance. So
you're always...
Which is different from Race of the Galaxy, which we'll get to once we're finished here. But that's the big difference for me, I think.
But that's the thing you do. I mean, even with that element of randomness with the dice, you still kind of build up, like you say, an engine building thing where you've got...
Yeah.
You have different abilities depending on different dice. And like that, things like that, I had a development that let me reassign dice to different actions.
Those abilities are really
as
powerful.
As long as they were non-white, you're not your starting your home dice or whatever. So I was generally always putting them back into the cup more than others and things like that. So that you're kind of thinking about, you are sort of thinking ahead, but generally your actual strategy never really plays out.
No.
But you do.
Excellent.
You do try.
You get somewhere, though. You do get roughly somewhere. You might get like halfway to what you were trying to do, and that's fine. That's fair enough. That's just part of the chance element. You do just kind of have to weigh up the risk, basically, and think about what it is you really need. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially the game. I mean, you play the game through until either somebody's got 12 things out in front of them, 12 like planets and development tiles. There's essentially 12 spaces, and then in front of each player. And once that's full, the game ends, or the last victory point chip is taken. At the end of the game, you add up how many victory point chips you've got. You add up the totals on all your planets and developments. They've got victory points on them as well, and whoever's got the most points wins. Now, you and I did not win a single game of this, Euan.
No, I think I lost. I think I came last in both of them, and it was weird. I was actually quite surprised.
Yes,
I did. Well, it was quite obvious going for getting as many of those victory point chips, and they have made it slightly different how they work in this. Seems to be really important.
It is. It's more important in this than it is in Race for the Galaxy, I think. Now, I think we had a discussion during this game where basically we just basically said that we don't care if we win.
Oh, no, I wasn't
You and
bothered.
I are very similar in the way that we play these games. We set up an engine, and we want to see that engine.
I just want to see it work.
Like
my
we
only
want to see
quibble-
that efficiency going.
Oh, that's admirable.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, my only sort of problem with this, and I always found the same with Race for the Galaxy. Maybe not quite so much, but I just wish they were that wee bit longer.
Yes,
so I could see that, because they do end quite quickly, both of them.
They end like a turn or two before you're ready for it to end. I think.
That's what makes it. It keeps
but I
you
think
coming
it does.
back.
It does keep you coming, because it was a rare thing that we did the other day. That actually was that as soon as we finished that first game, we started a second. Which is not something we do very often, because generally we're like, shit, we've got loads of games to play, let's play something else.
I knew it about halfway through the game, we're definitely playing this again.
And
straight away.
I mean, it's excellent.
Yeah,
it's definitely excellent. I mean, comparing it to Race for the Galaxy, which is a straight up card game, only got cards in it and some victory point tiles, and the main differences are that when it comes to picking the phases, it's got roughly the same phases in it. There's slight differences, but you've actually got a hand of cards, and everybody plays one of those, and that's what the phases that happen that round. So obviously, because there's no dice in the Race for the Galaxy card game,
so it's less harsh in that.
It is less harsh, but also, because you can basically pick anyone you want. You don't have to rely on what dice you're rolling. Mm-hmm. But also, what's the other big difference that I've completely forgotten that I was going to say?
You were talking about the random element with the dice and the difference between the cards. I mean, obviously, that
I think it was something that we mentioned while we were playing the game, was that it's a lot easier to get an engine running in Race for the Galaxy and keep that engine running than it is in Roll for the Galaxy. And Roll for the Galaxy, because there's so much random element in it, you might not be able to do what you want to do every round.
You're always at the mercy of the dice.
Yeah, whereas in Race to the Galaxy, you can go, I'm producing this round, I'm shipping this round, I'm producing this round, I'm shipping this round. You can just keep doing that over and over again. And other people might be doing things like that for you anyway, because they might be picking the phases that you need to do. So, Yeah, it is much more, slightly more random in Roll for the Galaxy, which you would expect with a dice game, like say. But it's more fun, I think. It's just more fun.
Yeah, I found myself enjoying it massively.
Aye.
I mean, I do still really. I liked it for a lot of the same reason I liked Race for the Galaxy. It's just a really well built kind of engine building sort of development game. I guess I do like the kind of games. So yeah, it's fun for this roughly the same reasons. But then this whole dice thing coming in is a lot of fun. And I normally can't stand dice. You know me and dice, but. This is.
I think games have been getting quite clever with dice though now, because it's. You tend to find that games that use dice well these days tend to have lots of dice in them to try
dice
and
have started. I think dice have
negate
started
that whole sort of because if you're only rolling one die, the chances you rolling what you need are very slim. If you roll shitloads of dice, the chances you rolling what you need are much higher. But it's more.
That's why I find that when I see those dots on the 6-sided dice come out and things like when we were playing. What do you call it? Time of Soccer.
Yes.
That I was just like, oh god, I can't deal with this. But when you are doing something different, I think like some dice somewhere has realised that dice's days are numbered, and has somehow influenced some game makers to just try and evolve the dice and make sure that the dice go forward with humanity.
Pavel, you look confused.
No, I was just going to say that I don't think this is how statistics works.
It is.
But fair enough. But what you're suggesting, Euan, is that there is a dice lobby somewhere out there. Some people pressuring.
I think it's a group of dice that have gotten together.
I just want to clarify something. When I say like, if you roll one die, all right, then the chances of you rolling a certain number are like 1 in 6. All right, but the more dice that you roll, the chances you roll on a certain number are obviously much higher. Okay, but there's also the odds of you rolling a very average number are much higher.
I think this is all about perception, really. The more dice
No,
roll,
it's called maths.
Well, we're not going to get. I don't think we need to get into a discussion about statistics.
It ends
that's
up being
going to
a
tarnish
nice
Roll for
bell
the
curve.
Galaxy for me.
The more dice you roll, the nicer that bell curve is.
Yes, well, it's there. Yes, I've seen some RPG mechanics with a lot of dice. I wasn't necessarily adding to the experience or to the realism of what you're trying to achieve with whatever skill rolls.
Yeah, but I think that's what RPGs are like, though, in general.
Well, I suppose.
I mean, you keep going telling me how awesome they are, and I'm just not seeing it.
I mean, this is a very different use of dice entirely. So it's not.
We're just rolling little spaceships.
I'm going to say, I tend to prefer strategic thinking of randomized elements and games, mostly because whenever and this is an actual statistical fact, whenever I roll dice, it's just a bad roll. It's how I roll. So I'm actually tempted to play the other version, the other version you've mentioned of this game, the one with cards only,
Race
the
of the
one
Galaxy.
that you've just said you never want to do it again because you prefer this one.
What? So are you deliberately being contrary?
He's trying to be iconoclast.
Just
He's come back
because
from
just
Poland
because you
all
weren't
this.
here to play this game, you've gone in the hub.
Exactly.
Like-
I'm just going to boycott the whole dice element of this review, and I'm going to say, nah, let's play the card one.
You're in the Race for the Galaxy camp, not Roll for the Galaxy.
I'm definitely in a camp of sorts.
I'm going to give you Race for the Galaxy just for a loan. You can
And that's a
force
form
your
of
wife
torture.
to play it.
My missus would not play a board game when we have time to play RPG.
Try and just throw it in.
So
Tell her
make
it's
it a
a
mini game as
yeah,
part
it's a
of an
mini
RPG.
game. That's what I was going to say. You go into a bar, and you have to play this game in order to get any further.
That's not how RPG works.
It is.
No.
What? No. So you're telling me that doesn't happen in like The Witcher 3 or Final Fantasy?
No. Witcher solely relies on Gwent. There's nothing else you do. You might just cut someone along the way, or a whatever Viven or some sort of other monster, but you end up just playing Gwent all the time. That's what I do. I'm so excited for the new I can't remember what's it called, Blood and Wine expansion that's coming out, because there's going to be additional Gwent cards in it.
All right.
Yeah.
That generally go blood or wine, one or the other,
I think you're supposed
I
to
wouldn't
mix them up.
the two.
Yeah.
to make the wine go down easier.
Right, anyway, let's wrap up this Roll for the Galaxy one, because we've got one more game to talk about, and we are really, really dragging this out.
Sorry.
So Roll for the Galaxy, I mean, I'm giving that 9 production symbols.
I'm giving it a big thumbs up from the Galactic Influencers, or the Universal Ravers.
Oh yeah, the Party Planet.
The party planet, yeah. The party
There
ring.
is a tile which is essentially the Party Planet. So
I've not played
Looking
it,
for that one.
but I'm gonna say it sounds quite cool.
it is quite.
Is
cool.
it a fast game?
It has. Oh yeah, it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
Like maybe we played one game in about. Well, the second game we played only lasted about half an hour.
It sounds like that. Yeah.
They got some nice wee plastic cups here for rolling.
There's
your
plenty
dice
of
as well.
colours in this game, that's for sure.
Primary colours. That's what we like to see.
Because we are infants. Just
I like my little spaceship.
toddling about. Bright lights, bright colours,
It does feel like it, yes.
sepia-toned sounds.
Right. Let's swiftly move on.
I think we shall.
So we're going to talk about a completely mental game, which is also another sci-fi game, another
It takes
space game.
exactly half an hour, this one.
This game takes exactly half an hour to play.
Alright.
Okay, right, now, when we mean exactly, this is Time and Space, okay, which is
I'd say
over here,
time is
hang
more
on.
important to this game than space, really. Space is just required to play it.
That's true.
And I suppose in that way it makes itself indispensable, but really time's what makes the game interesting.
Alright, I'm intrigued
But, okay.
now. I also can't believe
I forgot
that
to
you
mention
played
something.
it without me, but that's a
mate.
given by now.
Chris has omitted something from
I
the podcast.
I forgot to give you the details to Roll for the Galaxy. So, Roll for the Galaxy is a game by, well,
Rio
it's
Grande.
Rio Grande that did it, I think. Yes, it's Rio Grande, and it was designed by Wei Hua Yuan and Thomas Lehman. Now, Thomas Lehman did Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So, but it came out in 2014 as well. Yeah, Time and Space. So, Time and Space is published by Eggert Spiel and Pegasus Spiel and Stronghold Games, depending on where you are in the world. And designed by Tobias Stapelfeld.
Excellent.
Which is a nice name.
We like it.
So it came out in 2013. Now, this is a real-time game. A real-time space trading game. Which is weird. It's like nothing
very
else
odd
I've ever played. But it was quite fun. We did take a video with this actually before we go any further, and we did film this.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet, so I'm not promising it's going to be up on YouTube yet.
Oh,
'cause
come
there
on.
might be too much swearing.
Oh,
No such thing.
you could just mute it and play
Yeah.
play Tears for Fears over the top
Oh,
of
no, that's actually a pretty good idea.
it. Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get that up on the YouTube channel at some point. But yeah, it's God, how do you describe this game? So like I say, it's a real-time space trading game.
Yeah.
Now everybody gets 2 egg timers, okay, for a start, and you have to start a clock which is 30 minutes. Okay, so this game is exactly 30 minutes now.
Alright.
As soon as the clock starts, you can flip your egg timers. Now the egg timers are what, a minute? I think they were.
Were they a full minute? I thought they were meant to be 30 seconds.
I think
but
it was a
anyways.
minute. I think they're a minute long
Might be.
each. So you're basically at most going to get 30 turns, maybe 60 things that you can do. But that's at most, because that's not going to happen. You're going to have moments of panic in this game where you don't know what you're doing and your egg timers are doing nothing. But basically, you have a little board in front of you, and there's a circular board which represents space, which is the main board. Each player has a little board in front of them. Each player also has a planet on this main board, and there's moons. There's 4 moons if it's a 4-player game, 3 if it's a 3-player game. And there's little sort of wormhole things that are linking the planets and the moons and everything together. Now, you've got your little spaceship, and the only way you can move the spaceship is by sticking an egg timer in it and pushing it through a wormhole. Now, once that timer runs out, you can move it onto the next space, which is going to be a moon if you've come for your planet, and then you can move to other people's planets and blah blah blah. Now, the reason for doing that is that you're actually trading things with other people. Now, there are 2 sort of resource things in this game. There are demand tiles, I think you could call them, and there are
goods to
resource
sell, or-
cubes. Yeah, there's resource cubes. Now, basically, you have this little board in front of you, like I say, each player. This is a wee bit confusing, and this was supposed to represent your little sort of factory.
Sure.
Basically. Now, you're producing cubes. There's 4 different colours of cubes. Okay, so there's yellow, brown, grey and blue. And you have little factories. You start the game with 1 factory of each colour, basically. So it's producing each factory is producing one type of cube. And you can put your egg timer on top of those factories. Now, if you put your egg timer on top of those factories, as soon as the egg timer runs out, you get one of those cubes and stick it in your factory. You've also got a little thing where it's your basically like your transporter, your teleporter thing. You've got two of those. You need to be able to move the cubes, so you've got to move the egg timer onto those teleporter things. Once that runs out, you can move cubes onto the teleporter. Once it's in the teleporter, they're ready to sell. Okay? So you can consider that they're on your ship once they're in your teleporter bay. The other thing that you've got is a little demand thing. So there's two spaces for that as well. So you can put an egg timer on top of that, and you can create demand tiles, basically. I don't know if that's the real name for them, but that's what I'm calling them. Okay.
The tiles with numbers on of different colours.
Slightly confusing here. The demand tiles are the same colours as the cubes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now they have numbers on them. They range from 1 to 3. Yeah. There's only 1 3 of each colour.
There's two tiles with 1, 2 2s, and 1 3.
Ones, yeah. Now, you cannot sell any of the cubes that you have to another person's planet unless they have demand for it. Okay. So if they've got a yellow one out, and you've got a yellow cube in your teleporter bay, you can sell that to them.
For another cube?
No, you get the demand tile. Okay, so you take the demand tile off of them and you put that in front of you. Okay. Now, at the end of the game, you're going to get points for these demand tiles. For however many of them you've got.
So you're not reusing the demand tiles?
No. You keep them, and that's your points. Basically, you've sold,
okay, cool. So that's
you've
your
sold thing, and that's you. You've sold that, and that's what you're getting for it.
Gotcha. Your resource cube just goes back into the
that just goes, basically. Now, there's more to it than that, because you really want to sell resource cubes to as many different people as you can, because you get a multiplier for it at the end of the game. So if you've sold loads of yellow stuff to 3 different people, you add up the numbers on all the tiles and multiply it by 3. Okay, if you sold it to 2 different people, you multiply by 2.
Alright.
If you only sold to 1, it's just by 1. But the thing is, you cannot score for a certain colour unless you got rid of all the demand tiles of that colour as well. You personally. So if you want to score for the yellow demand tiles, you also have to get rid of all of your yellow demand tiles. Okay.
While also buying as many as you can.
So basically,
score for them.
You want to be looking at what other people are selling and stuff like that, but also making your space more attractive for other people. So, like, if you're really wanting to, get all those yellow tiles, get all those yellow demand tiles. You want to push out your yellow demand tiles as well. So you just want to be a little bit of wheeling and dealing going on, sort of like, tell you what, like me and you had a pretty good sort of little.
Well, at the time I didn't realise you needed to pick them up from different people.
Yeah, but like we did have a little bit of bartering system. Yeah. So I was saying to you, I'll tell you what, Euan, I'll put this blue one out if you put that yellow one out,
sort of pick up
and if you have and all this sort of thing, and we would just be buying and selling from each other quite a lot, and then we would head off to other people's planets. But because it's all based on egg timers, it's frantic.
You don't know really
your
what
brain
you're doing.
Just implodes at certain points. Where you sit there and
so
go,
there's no rounds as such. Everybody's doing their own
you're
thing.
just doing your own
whole
thing.
thing
It's
is
all
real time.
happening at the same time.
Now,
awesome.
The thing is, though, once you place an egg timer, you're not allowed to move it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you put an egg timer down and it starts running through and it gets halfway through and you go, oh shit, I can't do that anymore, or I don't want to do that anymore, I'm just wasting time here. You have to just let it go.
Yeah.
You have to just keep letting it run. But then you can get upgrades as well. So when you get to these moons, the moons have all got tiles on them which are like factory tiles, which are upgraded versions of factories. So instead of just having a factory that creates like one type of cube, it'll create maybe 2. You can upgrade it even further, it'll create 3. And they're all different colours as well. So you don't have a factory that only produces yellow cubes. They're always like yellow and grey or brown and blue.
Alright.
And then when you upgrade it, it'll be like brown, blue, yellow, or that kind of thing. So, and you have to spend time researching those tiles. You can't just pick them up and put them into play. You have to put them into a research spot, and then again spend an egg timer to research it and put it in. But the game's crazy.
Well, you're having to balance so many different things going on, and it's
because it's not just like I'm making yellow cubes, I'm selling yellow cubes, because I'm making yellow cubes. Shit, why am I making yellow cubes? Nobody's got one of the demand tiles out for yellow. Euan, put some demand. Come on, man, please put some demand. Come on, I'll do something for you. Like, and that's the sort of thing that this game comes down to. But then the whole time you're watching and you think it's only 2 egg timers, but no, 2 egg timers when you're sitting with both of them just going off, and you're just like, where am I going? What am I doing? Like, it's like
Okay,
it's
cool.
like it becomes like because you're trying to look at 4 different things at once.
I don't know how
Almost.
crazy the Walkmaster could be, and that was cooperative.
Oh yeah.
So in this one,
Walkstar.
the Walkstar. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's definitely got that element of frantic.
Yeah. Walkstar
Gameplay
definitely does as well. But
That
yeah,
sounds
it's
very
kind
cool.
of similar feel. But it's a weird game. Something that I'm always a bit. I don't know if I can deal with this when it comes to actually going to play it sort of thing. But as soon as I start playing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this game's actually pretty good.
You can enjoy it while you're playing it, but yeah, it is a bit daunting.
So there's a stressful element to it.
Yeah.
Alright.
But I actually, like I say, really enjoy it. Every time we've played it, it's just been absolute chaos, but at the same time, fun. Pretty good fun. And because it only lasts half an hour, you can just break it out and play it, and then it's done.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about somebody having a bus to catch or anything. You know exactly how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What do you think of it, Euan?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we should
I give
play
it-
it.
I get-
Maybe not today, but
I give it 5 smuggled yellow or golden containers out of a possible 20.
Oh, really?
It's a good game, but it's not really one I get a lot of enjoyment out of. I remember when we played it before, and I just found it a frustrating mess to play.
But you're supposed to.
Yeah. But I can't. I don't know. I just can't even you were saying, it's not one that you reach for particularly.
No,
I
you
think
don't.
You feel slightly apprehensive about
Aye.
going into it. So I can't wholly recommend it, but it's unique, certainly.
Okay,
And worth a punt.
right.
Definitely worth a punt.
Well, I like it, alright?
Fine then. I just think that we give too many positive. So I'm just going to nitpick.
So now you're
from
being
now on.
contrary,
I
just
am.
for the sake of it.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I think I've said this before, is that we review games that I own, and there's a reason I own them, which is that I like them.
We're probably quite rare in internet-based mediums in that we like talking about stuff that we like,
Yeah.
rather than moaning about stuff that we don't like.
I don't know, I think I moaned about that Dark Souls board game.
Yeah, but
a reasonable amount.
these
But you got-
rants are few and far between.
you got
from
forced
each other.
into it anyway.
We should
True.
we should make you do a regular segment where you're just
A
this
Chris
kind
rant.
of like bitter pundit.
Oh man, I don't have to pretend to be that. Right, we're going to have to wrap up there, I think.
Okay.
So that was Time and Space. A weird, real-time, 30-minute long space trading game.
If you can find that game anywhere, then
Well, I think it's still pretty much available. I don't think it's that expensive either. It
Can't
doesn't
imagine
exactly
it is.
have a lot of components or anything. So, yeah, look out for that one. So that's drawing the longest episode we've ever done to a close.
I think this is an achievement. It feels like an achievement.
Aye. And in fact, I think that, Pavel, this is your aim from now on. You're really trying to drag these episodes out.
I've not even talked much about. I mean, I've not played these board games. I've been very quiet. I've behaved. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
that's true. Actually,
Yeah.
you have behaved after
You're
your
just sitting
initial
there.
Dark Souls 3 segment.
So we start talking about Roll for the Galaxy, and then you just sit there with your hangdog expression.
I took a quick nap.
Yes.
Right, so let's wrap this up then. So let's do all the social media stuff. So if you want to email us any questions or comments or anything like that, abuse, that sort of thing, we will read it out on the show. We don't care what you send us. If it's a Nigerian scam,
We'd like to start
Excellent,
getting
even better.
it would be nice to start getting a letter.
yeah,
segment
like a
on
letter.
the go.
If you, aye, we could get a letter,
Yeah.
a physical letter.
Yeah, if we could get a newsletter.
Send a
Right.
physical letter to firstplayertoken@gmail.com.
Yeah. Write to Google.
Just write that on the
Say,
front of your
Can you,
envelope.
can you just pin this to the front door of
Yeah, we'll
First
cover
Player Token
post-ums.
at google.com.
Right. Yeah, so that's firstplayertoken@gmail.com for emails. We are on Facebook. You can find us there. We're on Twitter. Now that's at firstplayertoken, as in 1SD player token. We are on SoundCloud. We are on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. My Twitch username is Unnecessary Chris if you want to find me there and discover more of the delights of things like The Escapists. At the moment I'm playing Murdered Soul Suspect, so
I've heard a lot about this game.
so if you're interested in seeing that, that's what I'm doing at the
Yeah,
moment.
it used to be a lot of glitches in that one.
Oh yeah. Why do you think I'm playing
You're
it?
just going in for the
Of course, yes.
And we should probably announce that we are part of the Podnose network.
Yes, we made a big hoo-ha about it last week, and we kind of probably should have mentioned it at the top of the show, but we just ploughed into it, so it was fine. We are, as always, on podnose.com.
Not just us, a bunch of other people as well are on there. It is a network of podcasts ranging all sorts of topics. It's not, in fact, we're the only gaming podcast on there as far as I can tell. It's good to be unique. Yeah. In a sea of weird uniqueness, because some of those podcasts are they're quite particular. Interesting.
I've been heartily delving into the Qualcast a bit further. Some highlights so far. I'm really enjoying it. So, certainly a long discussion about not Sylvester Stallone, John Travolta's sandwich business that got him to where he was in Hollywood.
Excellent.
So yeah, I'd heartily recommend just check out all the podcasts on podnose.com and support British podcasting. Independent entertainment podcasting.
Thanks, Euan.
Yeah.
Right,
coming on strong there.
On that patriotic note, that's the end of the show.
Well, you did drop that UKIP flyer into my room today, so it's gone to my head.
I thought you were a fan. I thought you were a big Nigel fan.
No, Kilroy Silky comes in here, he climbs through the window, he drops a load of UKIP leaflets. Aye. Steals all the Empire biscuits and Coronation chicken, and then he buggers off, leaving you with paper to clear off the floor.
Here's some politics for you.
That was end of show politics. That's the end of the show. Goodbye.
On that note, bye.
Bye.